I'm not sure if he's getting a little bit of help here and there, but he looks absolutely magnificent. I think he's shown progression, I really do.
Okay.
Obviously, the disappointment this year is that Man City are not there, so the Arsenal fans, I was going to say Tottenham there, they wish. The Arsenal fans just felt it was just going to be them. You know, they would step into the shoes. They didn't. No one counted for Liverpool coming like they have, you know, with a new manager. But I just say, I heard Ruben Amorim talking about he won't get the sort of time what Mikel Arteta's had, but you have to earn that time. You know, in his first season, he won the FA Cup. That gives you a little bit of leeway. But I think gradually, and they're challenging every single year. So for me, stick with him. And it's only a matter of time before they start winning Premier League.
See, when I said, how do you judge his 200 games, I did not mean physical appearance. So let me rephrase the question.
I know, but looking at him, I just felt we had to mention him. He looks absolutely magnificent. And I've been in that seat. I mean, look at me now. I mean, I'm like about 100. I mean, it ages you. It is a tough job, but he looks like he's getting younger. Benjamin Button.
I don't know where to start with that. Darren, how do you judge his 200 games?
Fantastic. He's come in, he's changed the culture, he's brought down the age range, they've scored goals, they've been meticulous in their planning, he's got rid of the underachieving stars who thought the club owed them a living, and he's brought in players who are hungry for the shirt, hungry to be better, hungry to achieve things. And if you think about where they are now and where they were, struggling to get into the top four, now they are in a completely different planet.
I think just been let down, possibly. Edu was a good partnership with Arteta. I think they need to fill them shoes. He's been let down by recruitment, I would say, especially it's been highlighted this year. Glaringly obvious.
Do you think so? Because, and you know as somebody who has worked in that area, I think he took a gamble last summer. I think he thought to himself, we scored 5 goals fewer than the champions last season, so we can do that. Titles are generally won by the team with the best defence.
Yeah.
They still do have the best defence, but obviously they don't have that striker.
Yeah.
So he went for Marino instead of the striker. And I don't think it was the defence that was a problem. I think it was that signing of Marino instead of maybe an investment in Tony. Maybe he could have gone for a Watkins. I don't know. But I think it's not buying a striker that costs.
Yeah, my argument would be, what sort of strikers was he being offered? And why haven't they highlighted Isak, for instance, before he goes to Newcastle? The recruitment have to be ahead of time. If you're not the richest club in the league, and I'm not saying they're poor, of course they're not, and they could just save their money. They wanted Marino, they felt like they needed another midfield player, but they should have gone out and got a centre forward as well. Yeah. I know it's obvious now, and it's hindsight, and the injury problems we didn't foresee, to crippling injury problems to offensive players, especially Saka, who's a little superstar. But their academy is still so vibrant, brilliant. Wanyeri, Lewis Skelly, magnificent. Hopefully, they've got a little centre forward in their academy, and it might save them 100 million. Yeah. And you just never know. But I think in hindsight, when you look, and I know it's obvious, they need a centre forward, but they've needed one for 2 or 3 years now. And I think the recruitment might have pushed the boat out to go and get it for him, whoever it may be. But perhaps the ones they've been offered, Darren, are not at the level where he thinks are going to improve them. So he's kept his powder dry.
Yeah, and obviously, as you mentioned, that bad luck with just a number of offensive players being injured at the same time. Yeah. So now that is glaringly obvious, that missing that, clinical forward. They haven't scored in 2 Premier League games. Then in midweek, they scored 7 in the Champions League. You might talk about the quality of the defence, of the opposition, but what was it about the way Odegaard and Rice played that perhaps helped them score those goals, do you think?
Well, you're a midfielder, so I probably should hand over.
Well, I watched the game, and I thought Marino played very, very well. I was watching his movement. He occupied the 2 centre-backs, even if he wasn't coming to the ball. I think Mikel has obviously told him, you're a huge man, big in size, stretch him back way. So he opened up that space for him. And what PSV got wrong is they just retreated. There was no pressure on high up the field. So they recognised that straight away. So it was almost Declan Rice playing as 2 old-fashioned number 9s. So Declan played up with him, and Odegaard was making runs from deep as well. And obviously you got the likes of Wanyeri in there. I thought Thomas Partey helped him out because he was the one defensive midfield player, and the rest of them field day there. It was a golfing quality between the Premier League and the Eredivisie, unfortunately. and it was glaringly obvious. And now they're in the quarterfinal of the Champions League because it's impossible to turn 7-1 deficit around.
In terms of the title race, though, I mean, they could be 16 points behind by the time they kick off at Old Trafford. It's done for them. I know I know they will never say it. They can't, but...
No, they can't. He can't. And I fought shy for a long time of saying it's done, but I think Liverpool have got a chance to play one of the worst teams in the Premier League tomorrow, with respect to them, obviously, but statistically they are one of the worst. And Arsenal are counting the cost of, as Tim says, not having a striker. Because you think about the games where they created chance after chance, and ironically they were not able to take them. This league is a level up in class from the Eredivisie. I'm amazed Peter Bosz is still in the job at PSV after that beating the other day. It's here against the teams in this division, against the organisation of the teams lower down the Premier League, who are still able to set up and frustrate and deny and keep you at arm's length. That's what the problem is. They are fortunate with Man United because they're unbeaten in 9 away trips to Old Trafford, and United are all over the place at the moment. So I could see them going there and winning, but I don't think they're going to catch Liverpool.
In a period that's had trouble, that's had injury problems, their weaknesses exposed, Ethan Ranieri's been outstanding. You've mentioned him twice already. I know if you Google his name, you'll find Tim Sherwood says he's the next
big star. In fact, if you mention him again, you get to keep him.
I wish I could have him. I mean, he's just an incredible talent. At such a young age, 17 years of age. I don't know what I was doing then. I know I made my debut at 18, but...
Why are you surprised? You gave Harry Kane, debut at 16?
At that age,
players at the academy at Spurs?
But I did, yeah. But I'm a firm believer, if they're good enough, throw him in straight away.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like all this rubbish where they're not ready yet.
Yeah.
Put him in. I mean, physically, they're ready, some of these boys. Lewis Skelly, especially. Have you seen the size of him? I mean, he's not getting bullied by anyone, by the way. He's got that personality to put his chest out as well and stand up for himself. But that boy is a superstar. And 100% they should be in the England squad, both of them players.
Yeah.
Really? Would you put them in that early?
I would put him in. I would not hesitate. Wait for what? Wait for them to have a dip in form and then not put him in again. They are. Is he our best without Saka? Is he our best right-sided player at the moment? You'd have to say, even with all the quality there is, he's playing better than Cole Palmer at the moment. I love Cole Palmer. I think he's a game changer. But he's certainly.
Would you put him there ahead of Jarrod Bowen?
I probably would. I like Jarrod. I like Jarrod, but I think this boy is just special, and in international football as well. I mean, he's just got that. I like Jarrod because he's a very, very good, excellent Premier League player. I think this boy's got something a little bit special. I'm not going early on him. I'm just looking at what I've seen, the qualities, what he has, the way he manipulates and touches the ball, and the presence and the confidence of the personality of him. I think he's everything, and for me, he's a superstar in the making.
They're calling him a generational talent. But it's a huge game for both clubs. And this week we sat down with Ruben Amorim to talk about how his United team are progressing.
Ruben, first of all, how do you think it's going?
It's another miserable 45 minutes for Manchester United.
As Tottenham beat Manchester United home and away.